Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. It was 3 years ago when we gathered here, thanks to Selma and Graciela and Maria Isabel. And now we are gathering once again to, as Selma named the encuentro, to remapping, recalculating, and realigning the museums. So, welcome everybody, and I want to welcome Graciela de la Torre to speak. Thank you, guys.
Gracias por su hospitalidad, María Isabel, Edu, y a todos por estar aquí. Well, Selma asked me to make a little story about an Instituto IMI. This story began almost 15 years ago when Selma, with all her generosity, capacity, and creativeness, decided to break geographic and ideological barriers and decided to create AMI, Instituto para los Estudios de Museos Internacional. Selma founded the IMI as a think tank for museum professionals. Later on, outstanding personalities from the cultural field joined this group, como los que esta tarde nos acompañan. We get together periodically under Selma leadership in LA, Mexico City, Boston, and fortunately for the last 3 years in Oaxaca. Today, with USC participation on the Selma guidance, la doctora María Isabel Grañén and Alfredo Harp Foundation for Oaxaca, the UNAM and MUAC involvement, we are able to participate in the second Oaxaca Triennial as really partners. Long life to the IMI, and truly hope this would be an homage to his founder, Selma Holo, and to this great philanthropist, Dr. María Isabel Grañén. My sincere thanks for their support and inspiration. Both of them are my gurusas and great friends. Thank you. Too much.
Gracias. Graciela, fue demasiado. That was much too much. And we have done everything together. I go to Graciela, we have the ideas. We go to Maria Isabel, we have the ideas, we make it happen. And of course, we're in this beautiful place, which we will call forever the Oaxaca Triennale. This is the second one. It's great. So I want to say a little bit about Graciela. I think that you all know this, but es importante que sepan. You have to know that Graciela is the director of all the visual arts of UNAM. And UNAM, for those of you who are not from Mexico, you have to know is the biggest, most prestigious, most important university in all of Latin America, and certainly the oldest university in all of North America. It's a very, very important place for the University of Southern California, us, to be partnered with. And so I'm very, very grateful to you, Graciela, for always being there. And our ongoing relationship with the Alfredo Harp Foundation, led here by Maria Isabel, my friend, my colleague, is just something I treasure a great deal. So, Graciela, thank you. You have taught me so much about not just museums, but humanity. So thank you. Now, for everybody else, what I want to do is to frame our encuentro. I'm going to take a little bit of time before I introduce Maria Isabel properly. We're going to spend this second Oaxaca Trienal hablando en inglés because we didn't really have the means to be able to bring out translators. Everybody here knows English, so we're going to do that. Maria Isabel will speak in Spanish with the help of my great friend Alejandro de Avila, who is sitting behind, and we haven't had a chance to greet each other yet. We're going to spend the day, today and tomorrow, in conversation with a number of impressive museum professionals, academics and critics who've been deeply engaged in one way or another in thinking and rethinking what our museums and cultural institutions need to be as we progress along this century. We need to change. We need to be able to change not just to survive, but to be better citizens within the world that we've made and that we hope we can remake so that it's a little bit better and less selfish and more communitarian. The points I want to make, though, moving forward, with all of my gratitude to all of you for coming from all over the hemisphere and indeed Spain as well, I want to make a couple of points about how we're going to move forward. You will note, if you've looked at your agenda, that this meeting is really hemispheric. We've decided that it's time to concentrate really on the Americas because we really are all of this hemisphere. And to be able to think about how it feels to be en casa, to be at home in a place that we all share. I must say that my friend Manolo Blanco, who's going to be the moderator of the first session, is from Spain, but I have found evidence that in the 16th century, Spain was considered to be a part of the hemisphere for at least a few minutes. So, Manolo, you are part of the hemisphere. And I'll explain about that in a little bit, in a moment. But we're going to be hearing from, again, great colleagues from Mexico, of course, from the United States, from Venezuela, Chile, and Canada, and trying to get a sense, again, of these Americas that we share. The structure will be as follows, so that you know. Today, we'll be hearing from speakers who are using as their primary point of reference forces that are affecting all of our museums and in a way come out from outside of our museums. In other words, we're going to be hearing about technology, its uses and abuses. Technology is bigger than any of our museums. Sustainability and the issues of sustainability within our museums, which is something, again, that as a community of citizens of institutions, and we need to think about that. So Miguel Fernandez-Felix will talk about from that perspective. And then also violence and inequality in our societies, which we all share, sadly, and which affects how we do business, how we think about ourselves. And finally, today, we're going to hear from the perspective of geopolitical alliances within the Americas and how that has affected one of the great museums, the Organization of American States Museum, which is based on a strategic political alliance. So that's going to be today. And then tomorrow, we're going to get sort of more national and space-specific, and we're going to be hearing about Venezuela, our old friend Guillermo Barrios, in terms of the creating of architectural museums, the National Gallery. Our friend Faya Kazi is going to be talking about how it's reaching out newly in its responsibilities as a national gallery. And also Canada. Vanda Vitali is going to be talking about Canadian decisions that have been made from a national perspective that will be interesting about the museums themselves. And finally, I don't think any of you really know about this very much, but we're going to be hearing from Carlos Tortolero about the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago. And he's going to explain all that to us, okay? It's a wonderful museum. Very proud about that. So then we're going to have a final session, session 3, which is going to kind of make a narrative arc from the beginning to the end. Maria Isabel is going to speak to us in a moment about new philanthropic strategies that she and the foundation have developed. And we're going to end with demonstrations of some of the great artisans and artists. The boundaries are shifting. Who's an artisan, who's an artist? They come together. All of our disciplines are changing, and we're going to actually have some great artisans here who are going to be able to demonstrate where that kind of philanthropy can take us if we think in a sort of more communitarian way. So that'll be the end, and that'll be just a delight. So now, again, I want to thank our partners, University of Southern California, with UNAM, and with the unending support of Maria Isabel and the foundation. Thank you very much for that. Now, in your agenda, you saw that we were having 2 keynote speeches this morning. We're not, because one of the keynote speakers got stuck in Houston and will be here to do her keynote speech tomorrow before the next session. That's the president of Cornell University, so there is no respect from airlines about anyone, but she will be here tomorrow. And now, if you will allow me, I'd like to introduce, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. She's going to speak. Then we're going to have lunch hosted by Maria Isabel and the foundation right here in San Pablo. And then we're going to come back at 3 o'clock for the session. So you're going to have your strength back, okay? And we're going to be able to proceed with the session at 3 o'clock. Now let me tell you a little bit about Maria Isabel Granyen de Porua, our partner in this Oaxaca triennial. And what I want you to get a sense of is her as a great person first. The rest comes later, but if you're not a great person, none of it really makes any difference at all. She happens to be a great philanthropist, but it starts out with her values and her heart, and I happen to know that those are really very strong. She's one of us. She has a degree in art history, from Ibero University, and then she went on to get her PhD from the University of Sevilla. So you two have participated in Spain. So, okay. She focused her studies on the engravings of Novo Hispanic prints and books from the 16th century. She came here as the director of IAGO, the Graphic Arts Institute that's run by Francisco Toledo, the great artist and also philanthropist of Oaxaca. She has many scholarly publications to her credit, and she serves on many boards and really helps make things happen. And she also owns a bookstore, so you should stop by the Granyan bookstore, which is the best bookstore in Oaxaca. It's wonderful. And she's organized exhibitions and conferences, so we know all of that, and I want you to know that that's foundational for her. But Dr. Granyan, and literacy programs, and on and on and on. So we're not going to spend too much time on that because it's too long, but it's important that you know all of that. All of that aside, she's the president of the Harp Foundation in Oaxaca. She promotes many, many ecologic, cultural projects and educational projects. The Museum of Philadelphia, which some of you probably have been to, which is one of the best little museums in the world, I think. The Enestroso Library, the Casa de Ciudad, the Textile Museum. It can go on and on. And I think right now she's thinking very much about the support of the archives and the libraries of Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca, the city. And this is very, very important to her, that the past be preserved so we can know what we come from and maybe become better people ourselves as we contemplate that. So that's it. She's going to kick off our talk by talking about new strategic philanthropic ideas that she's been developing. And I'd like you to welcome our friend, our patron, our colleague, our partner, Maria Isabel.
Thank you very much. We have been preparing this event many, many weeks ago, and I want to tell you welcome. And Alejandro will help me to translate my talk. ¿Nos sentamos o nos sentamos? Estamos estrenando pantalla. Yo quiero ver cómo se ve. Mi ponencia la titulé La Fundación Alfredo Harpelú en Oaxaca, enraizando a la comunidad.
This talk is entitled The Alfredo Harpelú Foundation in Oaxaca, Helping Our Community to Take Root.
Me honra presidir la Fundación Alfredo Harpelú Oaxaca y darles la bienvenida a este recinto para llevar a cabo el segundo encuentro trianual de museos en Oaxaca, que organiza el Instituto Internacional de Museos, el Fisher Museum, el Museo Universitario de Arte Contemporáneo y la colaboración de la Fundación.
I am honored to preside the Alfredo Harpelú Foundation and to welcome you to this cultural center to hold the second triennial meeting of the museums in Oaxaca, organized by the Dornsaff International Museum Institute, the Fisher Museum of Art, and the Museo Universitario de Arte Contemporáneo, with the collaboration of the Alfredo Harpelú Foundation.
En esta charla inaugural me han pedido que explique por qué considero que nuestra fundación sea tan innovadora.
In this inaugural address, I have been asked to explain why I think that our foundation is so innovative.
En primer lugar, hay que destacar la generosidad de Alfredo Harpelú, un hombre comprometido con su país y con su gente. Destacado en el mundo bursátil y en el béisbol, Alfredo Harp ha decidido que en vida quiere invertir sus recursos en actividades filantrópicas y gozar cada proyecto.
Let me begin by highlighting the generosity of Alfredo Harpelú, a man committed to his country and his fellow citizens. A salient player in the financial world, as well as in baseball, Alfredo Harp has decided that he wants to invest his resources into philanthropic activities while he's alive, so that he can enjoy each and every project.
Hace 2 meses convocó a una reunión para informar y cito textualmente. Hemos decidido redoblar esfuerzos y trabajar porque en este país lo que se necesita es trabajar y actuar. La sociedad civil tiene que provocar un cambio. México necesita confianza. En momentos difíciles no podemos voltear hacia otro lado. Hay que actuar sin prisa, pero sin pausa, aquí y ahora. Debemos estar unidos para construir un mejor país para todos, entre todos. Es necesario actuar con hechos constructivos, con una visión humanista e integral y promover el bienestar de los que más lo necesitan.
2 months ago, he convened a meeting to let people know that, and we cite him textually, quotes, "We have decided to double our effort and work harder, because in this country what we need to do is to work and to act. Civil society must bring about change. Mexico needs trust. At such difficult times, we can't look the other way. We must act without pause, but with no hurry, here and now. We must be united to build a better country for all by working together. It's necessary to act with constructive deeds, with a humanistic and integral vision, and we must promote the well-being of the neediest amongst us."
Vivimos en una comunidad sensible al arte, al deporte y al entorno natural. De allí que nuestros proyectos estén enfocados precisamente a la educación, la cultura, la salud, el cuidado del medio ambiente y el deporte. Son miles de proyectos los que apoya la Fundación en todo el país y todos comparten un mismo objetivo, el humanismo.
We live in a community that's sensitive to art, to sports, and to our natural surroundings. That's why our projects focus precisely on education, culture, health, environmental care, and sports. Our foundation supports thousands of projects throughout our country, and they all share the same goal, humanism.
Y es precisamente en el humanismo donde radica la singularidad de la Fundación. Nuestros proyectos siempre tienen una repercusión social. Cosechamos frutos para la colectividad. Llevamos más de 20 años en Oaxaca. Hemos trabajado silenciosamente y de la mano. Por ello, hemos ganado la confianza de la sociedad y eso nos ha permitido crecer exponencialmente.
And it's precisely in humanism where the uniqueness of the foundation lies. Our projects always have a social impact. We harvest fruits for collective life. We have been working in Oaxaca for over 20 years now. We have worked silently, hand in hand, and that's how we have gained the trust of our community. And that has allowed us to grow exponentially in the last few years.
La Fundación se involucra con el sentir de la comunidad y comprende las distintas maneras de concebir el mundo. Los recursos financieros se complementan con una entrega personal en cada proyecto. Es una forma de vida. Nuestro trabajo es pasión, es servir, es multiplicar.
The foundation becomes involved with the feelings of the community, and it understands the different ways of conceiving the world. Financial resources are complementary to a personal commitment to every project. It's a way of life. Our work is passion, passion to serve and to multiply service.
En esta ocasión hablaré de los museos, que es el tema de interés de los asistentes. Aunque debo decir que nuestro quehacer es muy amplio. Abre fronteras y apoyamos a distintas instituciones y proyectos que contribuyen a formar un mundo más humano.
Today I will speak about the museums, which are the topic of interest for this audience. But I must say that our everyday work opens up boundaries. We support various institutions and projects which contribute to create a more humane world.
Entre las labores más apasionantes, operamos 3 museos en Oaxaca, que son espacios culturales, bellos y acogedores.
Among our most enthralling tasks, we operate 3 museums in Oaxaca, 3 cultural spaces that are beautiful and welcoming.
El Museo de Filatelia de Oaxaca,
The Stamp Collecting Museum of Oaxaca,
el Museo Textil
the Textile Museum,
y el Centro Cultural San Pablo.
and the San Pablo Cultural Center.
El personal que labora en estos museos es calificado académicamente y recibe una preparación constante, porque mientras más formemos a nuestro personal, mejor servicio podremos ofrecer.
Our personnel working in these museums are academically well qualified. They receive constant training. Insomuch as we provide for their learning, we will be able to offer better service.
Y lo más importante, cada una de las personas que trabajan en la fundación ama su trabajo. Una gran parte de su vida significa el proyecto para el que se entrega diariamente. Servir a la comunidad a través del arte es una primicia que compartimos.
But here's the most important fact. Every one of the persons who collaborate with the foundation love their work. The project to which they devote themselves every day means a big part of their life. To serve our community through art is a premise we all share.
La conservación de nuestros acervos es primordial. Contamos con obras extraordinarias que constituyen un rico patrimonio cultural. Nuestras colecciones están inventariadas y diariamente mejoramos nuestro catálogo.
The conservation of our collections is of foremost priority. We preserve extraordinary pieces which constitute a rich cultural heritage. Our holdings have all been inventoried, and work is done day after day to improve our catalog.
Constantemente recibimos donaciones y en algunas oportunidades adquirimos piezas que enriquecen nuestras colecciones.
We constantly receive donations which enrich our collections, and in some cases, we are also acquiring new pieces to diversify our holdings.
Generamos investigaciones, publicaciones y nuestras propias estampillas o cancelaciones postales.
And what's most significant is that we generate research, publications, and even our own stamps, which we get to frank during official ceremonies blessed by the Postal Service.
Lejos de ser salas con vitrinas de vistosas exposiciones, nuestros museos son espacios vivos, centros culturales que la sociedad los ha hecho propios, porque nuestra misión es atraer a distintos públicos, no solo a los expertos.
Far from being exhibit halls with showy glass and closed displays, our museums are spaces that breathe life. They are cultural centers which society has appropriated for itself because our mission is to attract different audiences and not just the experts.
Nuestros museos están dirigidos a especialistas,
Our museums are directed to serve A, specialists,
creadores, ya sean artistas o comunidades artesanales, especialmente en el Museo Textil de Oaxaca, porque un textil no solo es una prenda de vestir, es un medio en el que se plasman las tradiciones comunitarias y el talento del tejedor.
B, creative individuals, artists and community artisans, especially at the Textile Museum, where because a textile is not only a garment to be worn, it's the medium where community traditions are embodied, along with the talent of the weaver.
El público en general que disfruta de los eventos,
C, the public in general, who like and enjoy our museum and the events that we hold.
la población infantil, tenemos muchos proyectos dedicados a los niños,
D, children, we have numerous projects that are geared towards children.
y también nuestros visitantes virtuales a través de Internet y redes sociales.
And finally, virtual visitors through the internet and the social networks.
La misión es atraer al público a través de una oferta cultural dinámica y atractiva, para que constantemente haya vida en estos lugares. Nuestro deseo es que el público se apropie de los espacios y sean parte de su vida cotidiana.
Our mission is to bring in the public by means of a dynamic and attractive cultural offer so that these places are full of life constantly. Our desire is for people to make these spaces their own so that they become part of their everyday life.
Otro de los aspectos en los que destacan nuestros museos es que cada uno tiene sus propias bibliotecas especializadas. Y a su vez, nuestras bibliotecas también tienen salas de exposiciones.
Our museums also have their own specialized libraries. Furthermore, our libraries have exhibit rooms to guide our readers into various thematic displays.
Contamos con 7 bibliotecas y apoyamos a la Biblioteca Francisco de Burgoa. Esta biblioteca tiene libros que pertenecieron en su mayor parte a las bibliotecas de los conventos de Oaxaca, libros desde el siglo XV hasta principios del XX.
We have 7 libraries, and we also support the Biblioteca Francisco de Burgoa, a historical library here in Oaxaca, with books which belong, for the most part, to the libraries of the old monasteries and convents of the city. The Biblioteca Burgoa holds books which date from the 15th through the early 20th century.
Menciono este acervo importante porque fue el primer paso de una magnífica labor que emprende la Fundación. El rescate de archivos y bibliotecas de México a partir de una asociación civil que se llama ADAVI de México, que ha impulsado más de 800 proyectos en la República Mexicana y ha sido tan eficiente que la UNESCO le otorgó el año pasado el premio HICHI para el rescate de la memoria del mundo.
I mentioned this important collection because it was the first step in a magnificent line of work started by the Foundation, the rescue of archives and libraries in Mexico by means of a non-governmental organization named ADAVI de México, which has launched over 800 projects all over our country, and it is so efficient that last year, UNESCO awarded it the HICHI Prize, which recognizes outstanding efforts to salvage the world's memory.
Las bibliotecas que opera la Fundación tienen espacios para exposiciones, son la Biblioteca Enestrosa, que está dedicada a literatura, lingüística, arte e historia. En ella se invitan a los artistas jóvenes a exhibir sus obras en los pasillos o en una sala específica para las exposiciones.
The libraries run by the Foundation, which hold exhibit spaces, are the following. First, the Enestrosa Library, which is devoted to literature, linguistics, art, and history. Young artists are invited to show their work in the hallways of that library and in the room that was set aside purposely for exhibits.
La Biblioteca Infantil BS está especializada para un público infantil y juvenil, donde los padres juegan un papel fundamental. Ha sido tan demandada que abrimos 2 sedes, una en el exconvento de San Pablo y otra en la Casa de la Casica de San Pedro y San Pablo, Tepozcolula.
The BS Library, which specializes in children and youngsters, where parents play a fundamental role. Its demand has grown so much that we have opened 2 new venues for it, one at this former monastery of San Pablo, in fact it's right next door, and the other at the House of the Casica in the town of San Pedro and San Pablo Tepozcolula, which is about 2 hours west of here.
Otra de nuestras bibliotecas es la de Fray Juan de Córdoba, que está especializada en el mundo indígena.
The Fray Juan de Córdoba Library, which focuses on indigenous history and culture.
La Biblioteca José Lorenzo Cosío, dedicada a la filatelia.
The José Lorenzo Cosío Library, devoted to stamp collecting.
La Biblioteca Jorge Luis Borges, con libros en braille.
The Jorge Luis Borges Library, which holds books printed in braille for invidents.
Lo que me parece significativo subrayar es que llenar paredes con libros o vitrinas es un buen acto, pero no es suficiente. En estos lugares tan hermosos se requiere de una oferta atractiva para invitar al público a la fascinante experiencia de leer, reflexionar, observar y contagiar el gozo estético.
What seems significant for me to underscore is that filling up walls with bookshelves or with exhibit cases is a good deed, but it's not enough. In these places that are so beautiful, what's needed is an attractive offer to invite the public into the fascinating experience of reading, reflecting, observing, and making aesthetic joy contagious.
Nuestras bibliotecas y museos son espacios vivos donde los cursos, talleres, exposiciones, teatro, cine, conciertos, charlas y conferencias son concurridos por un público diverso que se acerca a la reflexión, al arte y a las letras.
Our libraries and museums are spaces that are alive, where courses, workshops, exhibits, theater plays, films, concerts, talks, and conferences are attended by a diverse audience that approaches thought, art, and literature.
Y más allá de nuestras paredes, también salimos a la calle. Contamos con 4 bibliobuses y nuestros museos también organizan exposiciones en distintas sedes del mundo y tenemos una vinculación estrecha con las comunidades de Oaxaca.
And beyond our walls, we also go out on the street. We have 3 bus libraries that travel around the state. Our museums organize exhibits to be held in various places around the world. And we have close links with communities throughout Oaxaca.
Ahora quisiera compartirles una experiencia que puede ser esclarecedora del trabajo comunitario que trabajamos diariamente en la Fundación, el lienzo de Zacatepec.
Now I would like to share with you an experience that may illustrate the kind of community work we do day by day at the Foundation, the lienzo of Zacatepec. A lienzo is a pictographic document painted on cloth.
La comunidad tacuate nos solicitó la restauración de unos maravillosos lienzos pictográficos que, además de contener el listado de los linderos del pueblo, uno de los documentos relata cómo los reyes habían llegado a la Mixteca Alta en el siglo XII.
The Tacuate community, which is one of the 16 culturally distinct peoples of Oaxaca, asked us to restore some marvelous pictographic documents. In addition to a list of the boundaries of the town, one of the documents narrates how the kings from the Mixteca Alta had arrived into the area in the 12th century.
Al tiempo que se llevaba a cabo la restauración, los epigrafistas de la Fundación entraron en contacto con la comunidad para descifrar el significado de los documentos. Para ello, los conocimientos del Consejo sobre los nombres, leyendas y tradiciones relacionados con el territorio fueron cruciales para comprender las escenas del lienzo.
While the restoration was taking place, the Foundation's epigraphists began to work with the community to decipher the meaning of the documents. To achieve that, the collective knowledge of the Council of Elders regarding the names, legends, and traditions linked with their territory was crucial to understand the scenes depicted in the lienzo.
Una vez terminada la restauración, los documentos fueron entregados e interpretados en Santa María, Zacatepec.
Once the restoration was finished, the documents were handed back to the people of Santa María Zacatepec, where they were interpreted collectively with new insights.
Mientras tanto, se solicitó la copia de un códice original del siglo XVI de dicha comunidad que se conserva en el Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia, misma que se exhibió aquí en San Pablo con una nutrida concurrencia y una explicación tanto en tacuate como en español.
Meanwhile, we requested a copy of the original codex dating back to the 16th century from that community, which is preserved by the National Institute of Anthropology and History in Mexico City. The copy was put on display here in San Pablo to be viewed and explained in both the Tacuate language and in Spanish for a copious delegation from the town.
En aquella ocasión se mostraron fotografías antiguas de la colección del Museo Textil de Oaxaca y pudimos saber quiénes estaban representadas en ellas porque las mujeres comenzaron a reconocerlas. Posteriormente, en una visita al Museo Textil de Oaxaca, pudimos identificar el significado iconográfico de una falda antigua, cuando una anciana comenzó a tararear un cántico antiguo de pedimento en tacuate que le recordó la escena.
On that occasion, we showed antique photographs from the collection of the Textile Museum, and we were able to find out whose portraits they were when all of a sudden the elderly ladies began to recognize them. Later, during a visit to the Textile Museum, we could pinpoint the symbolism of the embroidery on an early skirt when a weaver in her 70s began to hum an old love song in Tacuate, which she recalled when she saw the designs you see at the bottom corner.
Después de unos meses, la comunidad destinó un espacio para crear su museo comunitario con la copia solicitada a Lina, más unas hermosas fotografías.
After a few months, the people of Zacatepec designated a space to create their own communal museum to house the copy we obtained of their codex, along with some beautiful photographs.
Se organizó un taller para transmitir el conocimiento de la lectura del documento a los jóvenes tacuates. Ellos organizaron visitas guiadas y promocionales en la radio comunitaria.
A workshop was organized to transmit the knowledge to read that document to the Tacuate youngsters. They made all the arrangements to offer guided tours for their townspeople, and they aired advertisements in their communal radio station.
Además, nos solicitaron apoyo para la puesta en escena de una obra de teatro basada en la historia narrada en el documento, misma que itineró a diversos lugares en el estado de Oaxaca, y también estuvieron presentes en el Museo de Antropología cuando se organizó la gran exposición de códices mexicanos en el 80º aniversario de Lina.
In addition, they asked us for support to bring to the stage a theater play based on the story that's narrated in their document. That play was performed in various places in the state of Oaxaca and even at the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, when a grand display of codices was organized last year to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the National Institute of Anthropology and History.
El personal del Museo Textil de Oaxaca, en su visita a Zacatepec, identificó una escuela preescolar en la que los niños visten su traje tradicional en vez de uniforme de gala. Así que para motivarlos, se premió a la escuela con un lote de cuentos.
During their visit to Zacatepec, the staff of the Textile Museum heard about a local kindergarten where the children wear their traditional costume instead of a school uniform for special occasions. To motivate them further, we donated a collection of books to the school.
Este es uno de los ejemplos del amor con el que se trabaja en la Fundación Alfredo Harpelú en Oaxaca. Comenzamos con la restauración de un documento y el resultado fue más que multiplicador. Agregamos historia a la historia.
This is an example of the love with which we worked in the Alfredo Harpelú Foundation. We began with the restoration of a document, and the result went far beyond multiplication. We added history to history.
En el siglo XX, la reflexión que me hacían, ¿cuál es la diferencia de la filantropía que estamos haciendo ahora? Y en mi reflexión es que en el siglo XX surgieron miles de coleccionistas que donaron sus ricos acervos a los museos y a las bibliotecas públicas. Sin duda, dejaron una gran herencia.
To respond to the question posed to me about what is the nature of contemporary philanthropy, I would say that during the 20th century, thousands of collectors emerged who donated their treasure troves to museums and public libraries. Undoubtedly, they left us a great legacy.
Hemos llegado al siglo XXI y la concepción del mundo se enriquece al vincularnos con nuestro entorno. El reto no es poseer, es dignificarnos como personas y concebir la cultura y el arte como una forma de vida para la colectividad. En Oaxaca se llama tequio, trabajar para la comunidad.
We have reached the 21st century, and our view of the world is enriched as we bond with our surroundings. The challenge is no longer to own cultural property. The challenge is to dignify ourselves as persons and to conceive culture and art as a way of life for our collective self. In Oaxaca, it's called tequio, to work for the community.
Thank you so much. Gracias. No puedo imaginar un empiezo mejor para nuestro encuentro. I cannot imagine a better beginning for our encuentro, because it's a kind of a mission statement. We can almost test everything that we're thinking about how our museums are going to in some way really help our sense of community, our humanity. We have so much stuff. We've collected so much stuff. What does it mean? How can we make it more meaningful? That might be the challenge of the 21st century in our world. So we can kind of test against that as we hear the various talks. Thank you, Maria Isabel. Thank you, Alejandro, my friend. It was really wonderful. I appreciate it. You're all invited to lunch, which is being hosted, of course, by Maria Isabel and the foundation. I want to thank Edu. Please, Edu has really, oh my God. With all of our ideas, nothing would happen without Edu making them happen. Thank you so much. And Ralph, where's Ralph? My assistant from Los Angeles came